How's it going, everyone? How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. My name is JakeyXYZ, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Week 5 roundup. We're gonna be going through these matches. We had yet another candidate for Battle of the Season. I think this one probably tops the other ones that we've had so far. We had a nice little 6-5 match that we'll get into. Another match that went to timer. One of the first, I think, possibly the first battle that has gone to timer in the UBA. And then a couple other straightforward matches. Nothing too crazy. Couple talking points in those matches, but nothing too well. But regardless, if you guys do not want to miss any of the action, it's always every Saturday, every Sunday. Check out the coaches' channels down below. So go subscribe to them so you not miss a single battle this season. It's been shaking out to be a real interesting one, and we're getting real down to the wire here. We only have 2 regular season weeks left. So everything to play for in these next 2 weeks. We'll go over the playoff scenarios later in the video as well. But yeah, be sure to check out the coaches. And if you guys want to see more roundups and such from me, be sure to subscribe to this channel. I guess, you know, go subscribe to the other guys. But yeah, let's get started with the Detroit Pyroars versus the LA Inferno. The Detroit Pyroars lost to the LA Inferno 2-6. Falling to 0-5, still can't get one on the board. The LA Inferno get a much needed rebound win. This match was pretty simple. I mean, it wasn't that crazy. I sent in Archiludon to start. Max sent in Rotom. He paralyzed my Archiludon. I got up rocks. Then the next turn I freaking get fully parried, of course. I guess that's becoming a trend. But then I was able to get a nice fat body press onto the Rotom. He didn't kill it, and I honestly was just gonna really let Archiludon go. Archiludon, I don't know how you guys pronounce it. I pronounce it Archiludon. I was always, not always, but there was a lot of scenarios where I was just gonna let it go, and I did. I got Rotom to like 35-40%, something like that. So then I sent in Deoxys, and he was able to take out Rotom, Heat, Lugia, and Clodsire before it went down to Walking Wake, but getting a really nice hit off on the Walking Wake. Then a Eternatus came in, killed Walking Wake, Skeledirge, and Quackable. Pretty straightforward. The legend, so I let something die, a legend came in, got 3 kills, and then let something die, legend came in, got 3 kills. So it's pretty straightforward pattern. Eternatus is going to walk away with the MVP this week. That's my 4th MVP this season, which is freaking mind-blowing. Eternatus gets its 2nd straight MVP as well. If you're wondering, we'll go over another Pokemon later. First tiebreaker for this is mostly for the competitors. The first tiebreaker is obviously the amount of kills. The second one is did it die, and then the third one is HP. How much HP you have left. I do a percentage based, but you know, whatever. That's mainly for the competitors. If you guys have any other questions, obviously ask. But yeah, this match went in a fun pattern, at least for me. I mean, like I said, I lost Pokemon, got 3 kills. Lost Pokemon, got 3 kills. I didn't even think Max really misplayed. I think maybe he could have brought out Skeledirge earlier, like something earlier. Because it's not like I set up in front of anything. It's not like, you know, I just don't think he played that bad. Excuse me. I just think it didn't go his way. Both my legends shined in this match, and yeah, like I said, I really don't think he misplayed that bad. I just overpowered him in this one. We'll see how it would go in the rematch. That'll be an interesting one, but yeah, not much else to talk about. Like I said, it was very straightforward. Next up, also a fairly straightforward match, kind of, sort of. There's obviously a major talking point in this one. We have the Miami Palafins versus the Walton Wingulls. The Miami Palafins walked away with a 6-3 victory over the Walton Wingulls, and yes, you heard that score correctly. It was a 6-3 victory. The Walton Wingulls' closest match of the season so far. And it started pretty standard. Like, Humberto was going to send Incinerate, Taunt, Swords Dance, Agility, Baton Pass, like, you know, just a sweep set, just to get the match over with. But Nate switched out from his Tornadus lead, switched out to Ursaluna, Blood Moon Ursaluna. Now, it did have moves. So obviously, the biggest thing with Nate, his theme this season has been Metronome. He's only using Metronome. Yeah, the Ursaluna had moves. It Terra Poison. It used Gunk Shot. Like it you had Vacuum Wave, Gunk Shot, and I forget the other move, but Blood Moon, obviously. And yeah, that definitely caught Humberto off guard, and his whole plan pretty much had to change from there. He had to adjust, because at that point as well, you gotta kind of go forward with the assumption that, you know, more Pokemon don't have Metronome. You can't just assume that everyone still has Metronome, so I understand Alberto playing a little more cautious from this point on. I do think Umberto could have baton passed from the Cinderace sooner before it died, and that could have still potentially led to a ton of damage, but I understand him not really wanting to take the huge risk. But yeah, no metronome. I honestly do think Nate just messed up his team prep, because if you guys look at the Ursalunas, Blood Moon can't learn metronome, but regular Ursaluna can. So I think Nate might have gotten it. Obviously, Nate, if you're watching, you can let me know down below. Nate might have gotten them mixed up. I know I did, because I was doing some fun practice battles with Carlos with Nate's team, like with the metronome. And I was wondering why, you know, it was illegal on Showdown for Blood Moon or Snowdonian metronome. I looked at Pokemon DB, it was there. I never checked Cerebi. So before this, I actually did check Cerebi. And yeah, regular Ursaluna can learn metronome, but Blood Moon cannot. So I feel like there was something lost in translation there with Nate. And yeah, but on the same side though, like, Nate did also get pretty lucky in this match with the there was like a crit infestation Gengar had on Chien-Pao. There was a point where Chien-Pao got outsped by Gengar, which was weird. Maybe it was like an IV thing or something, I don't know. But Chien-Pao was able to get 3 kills in this one. It did eventually die, or no, I think it got 2. But it did die to Palmont. So Humberto just said, on the chance it has an electric type move, I'm gonna switch out. I'm gonna go to my Terra Ground Chien-Pao in front of Palmont. And of course, Palmont uses metronome and gets freaking Frenzy Plant and kills the Chien-Pao, which is wild. But Dragonite effectively took over this match. It got 3 kills, no deaths. That is the Pokemon that was tied with Eternatus, but Eternatus had more health than Dragonite. And even then, like, Ursaluna got a Gunk Shot poison on the Dragonite. Like, Nate got pretty lucky in this one. He got a couple lucky crits, some lucky moves. But obviously, just Umberto was still able to overpower him. Like, it really wasn't that bad. But, I mean, we definitely need to keep an eye out for that Ursaluna. It seems like everyone else, all these other Pokemon are still on the metronome train, but it's just that Ursaluna. It's Nate's closest match. And it does give him a potential way to the 7th seed because of the KD now. The KD tie he has with Detroit. But it's very frustrating for Umberto, much like Pidge, that things didn't really go his way 100%. I don't think we've seen the Ursaluna this season, so there's really no way of knowing unless you know, did research ahead of time, rather. But if I'm Nate, I mean, honestly, I feel like this goes 2 ways. Either Ursaluna is never coming again, or it's coming every single match. And honestly, you broke the seal. You may as well bring it every single match from this point on, and have an attacking Pokemon. Because I originally thought his Metronome team was going to be like Metronome, but, you know, with support and stuff. But he went full-blown Metronome, which I respected. But at this point, you just gave up the Ursaluna. So you may as well just keep bringing Ursaluna and have everyone else still have Metronome. And yeah, but regardless, Umberto did, LionheartPlays, coaching my Palafins, still walked away with a 6-3 victory in that one. So dominant nonetheless. It's just, I know he was very, very frustrated with how it went. Next up, we have the Snowdonian Frosmoths versus the Colchester Celtics. Now this is the one that's going to take up the bulk of the video, because this was the 6-5 match, and the Colchester Celtics improved to a 3-win streak with a 6-5 victory over the Frosmoths. I personally think the Frosmoths should have won this match. They got off to a really good start, especially against a coach like Pidge. They got off to a really good start. It was the Volcarona versus Pathway to start. Pidge, I mean, he said he was worried about the bug buzz, but honestly, I think in that point, you know that Jakey's gonna click Quiver Dance. I personally would have just Terra Blasted, right? I would have Terra, because he was Terra Flying and he had Terra Blast, which he did end up doing, but I think he should have done it first turn. Instead, he protected, handing Jakey a free Quiver Dance. But Terra Blast, a flying Terra Blast from his Pathway would have done so much to that Volcarona, because it wouldn't have been set up yet, would have done a ton of damage. And I don't think it would have been able to recover in time to save itself. So he probably could have taken off Volcarona before it even took out his Pathway, to be honest. But the double, because it pitch, Jakey ended up double Quiver Dancing with the Volcarona. It's such a classic Jakey play. And then he tried heal stalling again, which, you know, it didn't work as well in this match, because he does try it again with the Garganacl as well later, but he had Morning Sun on the Volcarona and tried the little heal stall again, and it kind of worked with the Volcarona, but not really. Pidge did not look happy, I'll tell you that much. And that point in the match, like, he did not look happy that Jakey was like healing. He's kind of like, You guys look at his face in the video. Pidge didn't look so happy, but yeah, a little bit of heal stall there with the Volcarona. Managed to take out his Pather. Managed to take out Mimikyu, but Mimikyu, such a Pidge play, man. Mimikyu pulled up with the freaking Trick Room to help handle the Volcarona. Mimikyu was able to get a fat hit off on the Volcarona, and Montebello came in to finish it. But Urshifu, the Rapid Strike Urshifu came in and killed the Mudsdale. It was at this point, Jakey's up 3-1. Right, he's got 3 kills. He took out his Pather, Mimikyu, and Mudsdale. 3 big threats. I mean, he takes out some huge things. Yes, Pidge still has both his legends at full health. Haven't touched the field, but it's at this point where I was kind of like, how does Jakey lose this? Because I did see the result. Normally I'll click first day that the match comes out. I'll click, see the result, write it down, and watch it later. So I saw Pidge 165, and I was like, okay, you know, dang, that's crazy. It must have been a really good match. But it was at this point in the match where Jakey's up 3-1. I was like, I don't get it. I don't really get it. I do think he made a couple mistakes with the Mimikyu, you know, not breaking to the skies, choosing to heal, but I think he might have been screwed either way, to be honest with that. But otherwise, I think everything is just a good start for Jakey, but not entirely his fault, really, because of the Trick Room still being up for 1 turn when Mudsdale came out. He did kind of let it hit Urshifu really hard. I don't blame him though for letting that happen. He could have switched, but there was really not a clean switch there, so not really a misplay necessarily. Just it was kind of tough. But I really just didn't understand how Jakey lost this match. But a lot of credit to Pidge because he started to make some plays. He started to really make some plays. So Mudsdale dies to the Urshifu, right? Zacian comes in, and Pidge makes a ballsy play. He just clicks Swords Dance with Zacian, makes it +3. I loved it. It was a risky, ballsy play, but I love it. He did it because Jakey clicked Aqua Jet, which Zacian didn't love particularly, but it didn't do like a whole ton of damage. But another Aqua Jet would have probably brought Zacian around half. So I was kind of like, why didn't Jakey click it again? So I think Jakey, in his mind, thought Swords Dance again was coming. If I remember in the video correctly, maybe I should have made a note of it. But I could see kind of why he wouldn't click Aqua Jet, right? Just in case Pidge tries to go for the Swords Dance again. But instead he clicks Surging Strikes, I believe, the second turn. And Zacian is able to kill the Urshifu. And now he's got a +3 Zacian, right? But you know, a little bit of a switch fest at this point. Zacian got forced out by Scizor, and like I said, a little bit of a switch fest until eventually it was Garganacl versus Chandelure, and Chandelure shut that Garganacl down. It did not let that Garganacl do anything. Pidge got the Confuse Ray off. It hit itself. Pain Split was just screwing up the recover process with you know, the Garganacl, and even the Salt Cure wasn't doing enough to the Chandelure. And eventually Pidge made a great prediction. He chose to go out to Dialga while the Garganacl, he knew the Garganacl was going to click recover, so he made a switch to Dialga, ends up killing the Garganacl. Huge plays from Pidge, and it's at this point that I was like, okay, never mind. I could kind of see how Pidge won this match, because now we're all tied up. If you guys paid attention, we're all tied up at 3-3. This match was exciting. That's why I'm excited. Sneasler came out. Terra ghosted. Pidge decides to, I'm out, you know, dips. And he goes to Chandelure. Sneasler, I mean, the switch was good because Sneasler used close combat. Obviously, Chandelure's ghost didn't get hit, right? But Sneasler does end up killing the Chandelure, but it gets burned. A huge burn that I think really just kind of turned the tide a bit in this match. I think at that point, once the Sneasler got burned, I was like, oh yeah, Pidge is gonna win this. Pidge is gonna win this. Pidge is gonna win this. Because now Sneasler's no longer a threat, especially to Dialga. Well, it is. It can still hit. Like, Sneasler's attack stat's still really good, but it's not as much of a threat anymore, especially to the Dialga. Zacian comes in and kills it. Did get poisoned by the Direct Claw from Sneasler, but regardless, Zacian was able to kill it. It killed the Fluttermane. And then Sizzler came in, and Jakey made an interesting play here, which I thought was actually decent. He goes ahead and clicks Swords Dance with the Scizor because he knew the Zacian would die to the poison at that point, which it did. So a really good play from Jakey there to give himself a chance against the Dialga. The problem being, though, the Scizor didn't have any good moves against Dialga, and it died to the Dialga. And Pidge ended up winning 6-5. This was a really nice little comeback for Pidge. I think Jakey could have done. I feel like this is kind of a winnable match from Jakey, and I feel like he'll walk away maybe thinking he should have won. It was, but you got to give a lot of credit to Pidge. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to Pidge. Pretty much starting from when the Zash and Swords dance. From that point on, Pidge just really pulled the match back. Did a great job making all the right moves. Was predicting everything well. Got a little lucky with the flame body because I do think that could have that sneezer could have made this match a lot closer. But Pidge just really pulled it off. I do think that this is honestly battle of the season because the momentum shifts, the back and forth, the kind of, the moves that were being made. Like, I thought it was a really, really entertaining match. So as it stands right now, my personal rankings, I think I'd go this match, and then me and Carlos, and then maybe Carlos's match against Alan, and then me and Jakey, I guess, by default. But like 10 minutes of that match was stalling, so it wasn't like super entertaining. But regardless, this is easily, I think, battle of the season so far. And yeah, the Snowdonian Frosmoths get stopped. Their momentum gets stopped. The Colchester Celtics continue their momentum. That's now 3 in a row. Called it the Pidge effect, where we all called it. We all seen it coming. I think Jakey can still walk away from this match feeling good because, it's like I went up against one of his greatest rivals and one of the better competitors in the league, and pushed him all the way to the brink, had him on the back foot. Like, there's a lot of positives to take from this match if I'm Jakey, you know what I mean? This isn't the end of the world. Yeah, it sucks to lose. Getting a win against another top competitor would have been great, but he pushed Pidge, and there's definitely a lot of positives to take. But now they're both in the same record, so that's gonna make for some interesting showdowns. Our final match of week 5, we have Team Coin versus the Montebello Morpeko. Team Coin walked away with a 4-3 victory. As I mentioned, this is I think probably the first match we've had in the UBA to go to timer. I might be wrong on that. Maybe someone can correct me because I don't really remember. But this match was like a simultaneously entertaining and very boring match because holy. Alan loves to switch. Alan loves to switch. It was very back and forth at first. Like, they kind of just traded blows back and forth. I think Carlos got up to like a not so great start. I think one of the biggest things for Carlos at the beginning of the match, Mr.Toast, coach of the Montebello Morpeko, one of the biggest talking points at the beginning of the match is how he handled the Pinkerton, because I'm not gonna lie, the first 5 minutes of the match was like all switching practically. And I'm gonna talk about that after I talk about everything else, because I do have a little bit of a problem. And I'll talk about it later. But the Mewtwo, basically there was just a ton of this, right? And eventually Alan brings out his Pinkerton, right? He's up 1-0 at this point. He's got a kill. Carlos doesn't. And like I said, they were just going back and forth. He brings up Pinkerton, and Carlos makes the ballsy play to go to Mewtwo. I forget what other Pokemon I said I would have gone to personally. I think it might have been like Rillaboom. Where I was like, yeah, or Zekrom. I was like, just go to one of those two. But instead he goes to the Mewtwo. Now the risk with that is obviously the Pinkerton clicking Thunder Wave, because it was a hard switch. But the Pinkerton didn't. It clicked Discharge, which is still like a 30% chance to paralyze. So you're risking that as well. But he avoids it. The risk is avoided. He doesn't get paralyzed. He doesn't get Thunder Wave. None of that, right? He avoids it. Risk pays off, right? Then Carlos clicks Psychic, and I was like, no, you just need to go for the Earth Power there. Go for the kill. I believe it did the Calix, and Earth Power did like a little bit more than Psychic. I was like, you gotta just go for the kill there, because the Pinkerton lives a Psychic barely. It was on like nothing basically. It's able to get off another Discharge, and this one paralyzes the Mewtwo, and that sucks because Mewtwo could have been a huge part of this match later on. Pinkerton dies. Alan brings in a low Ninetales, sets up the Aurora Veil, lets it die. And then Kyogre comes in and kills Mewtwo. Not ideal for Carlos at all. He brings in Rillaboom and Terra's Dragon, which I also didn't really like, but that's kind of more of a factor for later. We'll get to that in a second. To try and kill the Kyogre, but I, like I said, I'll talk about that, why I didn't like that Terra in a second here. But after Mewtwo died to Kyogre, dude, this match was so switch stally. All the switches that are being made, it was definitely Alan doing more switching and Carlos being more reactive. I think Carlos could have been a little more proactive and ramped up his attacks, but I understand the hesitance. Like, you don't want to fall into Alan's hands. You don't want to, let him get into his flow. I do think Carlos messed up on reading the pattern, because when the kill finally happened, Carlos switched into King Gambit. It took a flamethrower that Alan predicted. Alan predicted the King Gambit coming. But like when you watch the 5 turns leading into that and all the switches that were happening there, it was like carbon copy of something that of the whole switch fest that happened earlier before the Mewtwo and the Pincurchin came together. Zekrom was able to kill the Glare Weezing, and yeah, the whole ending to the match was not great. So I think this is where Carlos would have really benefited from still having the Terra up with the Zekrom. He had Terra normal. Would have taken the Ice Beam 10 times better from the Kyogre. Could have dished it and probably could have killed the Kyogre, I would think, at least. But at that point, like especially with the Kyogre Terroring Electric, which Carlos did predict, and he used Dragon Claw instead of trying to go for an Electric type move. I don't like that his Mewtwo dies, and automatically your #1 Terra candidate should honestly be Zekrom at that point. Like especially with the Terra it had, it should have absolutely been his Terra candidate, but he you know chose not to do it. And then Kyogre was able to kill Zekrom, and that was the kill that Team Coin needed to get the win. I do think Alan switch stalled a little bit at the end. I mean, he just, well, not switch stalled, he just kind of used, you know, the long Terra animation, things like that to try and, you know, push the timer. It didn't feel like there was a lot of, you know, this from him. I think, honestly, it was just such a switch heavy match from Team Coin. I think Montebello could have done a much better job of being proactive versus being reactive to Alan's switches. I do think that without the pressure of the timer at the end there, Carlos would have won this match, because he kind of at the end was just like this. He was just trying to like move. Although I still think it would have ended close. I don't mind a switch heavy battle style. That's natural. That's, you know, comes with the game. What I don't like is when someone takes 45 seconds to just switch at the end of it all. Like my biggest issue is like, you say what you're gonna do, right, and then you spend another 30 seconds breaking down 7 other scenarios just to do that thing you said you were gonna do initially, and then it's just like, I don't like how long that takes. I don't, you know. And the problem was with Team Coin, it was kind of like back to back turns. I usually watch all the matches 3 to 4 times. You know, first time is just to get all the stats. Second time is to get my notes. Third time is just to like make sure I have everything I want. Potentially fourth, depending on, you know, the battle. And I'm not gonna lie, by like the third time, I'm sat here just spamming the freaking arrow key at points in the match, because I'm like, dude, it is taking forever for him to make a decision. And it wasn't Carlos. I can tell you that. Carlos was very like this. There was only like 1 turn towards the end that he took forever because he was looking something up, which I do think kind of costed him. It was after the 3-minute timer popped up, and he spent like 40 seconds on a decision. That time that he could have needed to like get another couple attacks off or something. I personally didn't really like the delayed switches. I understand thinking things out and, you know, obviously wanting to make the right decision. It's just when it happens multiple turns in a row where you're spending 40 seconds per turn, knowing we have a 20-minute timer. That's the thing, you know, that's where it kind of gets frustrating. So I really don't think this match should have gone to timer. I do think, especially on the side of Team Coin, if they had been a little more proactive, this match could have easily, you know, not gone to timer. But regardless, I think having an opponent that finally pushed Alan to the brink definitely shows a couple things, right? These are a couple of main talking points. Carlos can definitely compete despite his record. He's not had the easiest stretch in the world. You know, he had me, then Pidge, then Alan. You know, I'm in second, Alan's in first, Pidge is on the come up. Like, it hasn't been an easy 3 weeks for him, right? But he's showing that he can very much compete with anyone at the top, you know, top of the table. So, despite his record, like, he can still compete. And Alan, this proved that Alan is definitely beatable despite his record. It's a bit of an eye-opening match in multiple ways. Despite everything, though, I do think this was a winnable match for Carlos. But it shows that he could still compete, but Alan is beatable. It's his 5-0 records, not indicative of like a dominant performance. You know what I mean? So, and Carlos's 2-3 record is not indicative of how well he can perform, his potential. So he just needs to live up to that. But regardless, just, you know, super switch heavy match, man. Like I said, the more I watched it, the more I skipped, the more I had to sit there and spam my freaking arrow key to skip. It was a little frustrating, but Team Coin improves to 5-0. All right, we have our week 6 matchups here, my week 6 predictions. First up, we have the Walton Wingulls, who are 0-5, versus the Detroit Pyroars, who are 0-5. This is, I believe, what they call the Burger Bowl. Sorry, but you know, it is what it is. These two competitors who are both winless heading into this match, and I think at this point everyone else is out of reach past the 7th seed, which is where Detroit's at. Well, actually, both of them are tied for the 7th seed right now because they have the same record, same KD, and they haven't played each other, so they are both tied for 7th. And this is basically who's gonna get last, I think, in this match, pretty much. This is a battle for who's not going to be last, I guess. You're still not, I'm pretty sure you're still not like guaranteed to fall to last, but a win effectively guarantees the 7th seed. There have to be a lot of stuff that happens for it to not. I'm going to back, you know, the Detroit Pyroars because they're not doing metronome, but Ursula does throw a bit of a spanner in the works. I mean, it kind of makes things a little more interesting. If Nate can use it, you know, right, and actually give himself openings with the metronome. So I wouldn't count Nate out completely in this match, but I mean, I'm still gonna back the Detroit Pyroars in this one to get their first win of the season and basically secure the 7th seed. But yeah, this is a match for not last, basically. But I'm backing the Detroit Pyroars in that one. Next up, we have the Colchester Celtics versus the Inferno. Colchester Celtics 3-2, Inferno 4-1. Now, starting with this match and the next 2 matches, these should all be bangers because all 3 of these matches have insane playoff implications. I guess the first one technically does too, but this is for like high seeds. And yeah, we're starting with this one. Pidge's upward trend definitely terrifies me. He's on a 3-win streak. He's taken out some really good opponents like on the way here. So it makes him a really dangerous opponent. This is like the time of the season where you don't want to play Pidge. And although you can argue maybe he should have lost against Jakey, it doesn't really matter because he won and he played well, and now he's on a 3-game streak. I'm going to back myself in this one, but I'm gonna pick the Inferno to win this one. But just God, I'm terrified of Pidge at this point of the season. Our matches always go down to the last couple of Pokemon. It's always like a 6-5, I swear. I think there's only been one match that wasn't close, and Pidge won that his championship match. But otherwise, I think all of our matches have been 6-5s, basically. Even last season with his bad team, like we still went 6-5. It's wild, but this is definitely gonna be a wild chess match between us, and it's gonna come down to the wire. But I'm gonna take the Inferno that one. Next up, we have the Montebello Morpeko, who are 2-3, versus the Miami Palafins, who are 3-2. Carlos needs a win. The Montebello Morpeko need a win. This match is make or break for his chances to get a higher seed and, you know, make a deeper playoff run. He wants, I think Carlos mostly wants, you know, the 4th, 5th seed, because then it's kind of mixy. You have an opponent that you probably beat or you at least were competitive with versus a 6th seed where you're probably facing an opponent who's already beat you. Because the 6th seed will play a 3rd seed. Carlos, basically no one else can fall below 6, but you still kind of want to avoid the 6th seed because you're going to be taking on 3rd. I think you'd at least want 4th, 5th. He will still need a little bit of help even if he wins to make sure he gets a higher seed, but at this point, just win. Like, that's all you need to do. Your next match is against the Walton Wingulls, so it's not the end of the world if it's not the end of the world if this is like close match and the KD, you know, doesn't really benefit him, but win. This is the one he needs to win, basically. And it just starts here. This is where he has to do it. This is where he has to show up. This is almost equivalent to like a playoff match, right? I would say, for both of these guys. I will be backing Miami because I think Miami's looked a little better recently. But I really don't think Montebello is as bad as their losing streak suggests. I don't think they've been playing as bad as their losing streak suggests. But I think the Miami Palafins are playing better right now, regardless. This should be a banger of a match. I mean, all 3, like I said, all 3 of them should be, but this should be a really good match. And like I said, it almost is playing like a playoff match. This is arguably the one that really is most like a playoff match in these 3 matchups. But I'm gonna back the Miami Palafins. I'm gonna back the Miami Palafins in that one to improve to 4-2, and also be on a 3-win streak. So I'm gonna back Miami. Next up, and our final match for week 6, we have the 5-0 undefeated Team Coin versus the 3-2 Snowdonian Frosmoths. The biggest question here is, can Allen fend off the Horde? I am still in second. Jakey's still in third. Like, we're still top 3 there. And he faces both of us, as we talked about this in the midseason roundup. So these next 2 matches are huge tests for him. And it starts with Jakey, who is playing well despite the loss. And like I said, you can argue he probably should have won that match. Got a little unlucky with the bird and stuff like that. For some reason, all right, with the way Alan was playing last week and the way Jakey played last week, comparing the two, particularly the last like 3 weeks for Jakey, comparing the two, I really have an inkling that Jakey's gonna pull this off. For some reason, I think the Frosmoths are going to win this match. I know I haven't been going against Team Coin for the last couple of weeks, but I think I gotta go against him in this one. I'm gonna back the Frosmoths. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that Jakey's gonna come out with some fire and want redemption for that loss against Pidge and just come out and hand Team Coin their first loss. With a win though, Team Coin basically all but secures the first seed. I mean, it'll come down to their match against the LA Inferno, really, but they effectively secure the first, at least second seed at worst. So Allen needs this one, so he'll definitely be coming in full force. But Jakey, you know, can knock Team Coin down a peg, and if I beat, you know, Team Coin, then that also benefits Jakey. So that this is just, oh man, I don't know why I said Montebello versus Miami is like a playoff match. All 3 of these are like playoff matches, effectively, you know. Yeah. this is the week. So I'm gonna back the Frosmoths. I'm gonna pick the Frosmoths. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna pick the Frosmoths to beat Team Coin and hand them the first loss of the season. But dude, these 3 matches are all banger matchups. So looking at the standings right now, in first we have Team Coin 5-0 plus 13. In second we have the LA Inferno 4-1 plus 14. In third we have the Snowdonian Frosmoths 3-2 plus 9. In fourth we have the Colchester Celtics 3-2 plus 4. In fifth we have the Miami Palafins 3-2 plus 0. In sixth we have the Montebello Morpeko 2-3 with a -1 KD. And then in tied for 7th we have the Detroit Pyroars and the Walton Wingulls, both 0-5, both with a -20 KD. So this is a huge week, honestly, because like we said, Walton and Detroit are playing for the 7th seed basically. And then the rest of the teams, like, if for this next week, week 7, to be really interesting, you guys would want to see Colchester win, Montebello win, and the Frosmoths win, because that will make a real interesting final week, where a lot of different scenarios can happen. Things are not out of reach for some of these teams, particularly all the 3-2 teams. Things are not out of reach yet. You're still very much in it. The Montebello and Morpeko are the only ones that like severely need a win. They need to win their match. The rest of us can kind of, a loss sucks, but it's not the end of the world. The only ones that suffer a little bit more are Miami and Snowdonian. Colchester Celtics, LA Inferno, and Team Coin are all kind of okay with losses. They could still, you know, make some noise in the final week. The Montebello and Morpeko are really the only team that cannot afford to lose, really. Sorry, Carlos, not to put that pressure on you, but you really can't lose this match. So yeah, this is the week that sets up for week 7. Like, will we have a really, you know, intense week 7 where it's like final playoff spots, or will we have kind of a boring one? Because the boring wins would be if LA, Miami, and Team Coin win, because that effectively secures LA and Team Coin in top 2, and more than likely pushes Miami to get to the 3rd seed. So those are kind of the, not saying in the bad way, but like those are kind of the boring. There's still a lot to play for in week 7, just not as much as the wins I said with the Colchester. Basically the opposite. If Colchester, Montebello, and Snowdonian win, it makes a really interesting final week of the regular season. So yeah, this is going to be a really intense week. A lot to play for, and you guys do not want to miss it. Every Saturday, every Sunday, check out the coaches in the description down below so you not miss any of these banger battles, because I bet even Walton Wingulls versus Detroit could be a good one, depending on how, you know, Walton approaches that match. So this might be the best week of the season. It might be one of the best weeks in the UBA. We'll see. But yeah, that's gonna be for this one. Again, be sure to check out all the coaches in the description down below. Go subscribe to all those beautiful people, and every Saturday and Sunday we got battles, so be sure to check them out. Support all the coaches, watch both sides, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's gonna be for this one. Be sure to check all the socials in the description. Follow and subscribe to this series. Oh, greatly appreciated. And of course, be sure to share socials with our friends on the let people know here what's at. See you guys in the next one. Bye.